Who would you rather have down the stretch? Would it be Steph Curry or Ja Morant?
It's Ja Morant. I just think Ja Morant he has a slight edge for MVP for me.
Does this seem familiar to you guys? I just have one question. Is what Stephen Curry does every single season boring? Dropping threes from 30 feet at the consistency at which other players could only dream of isn't exactly my idea of boring, and fans certainly don't think that it's boring either, because Steph is undoubtedly the face of the NBA. But despite that, we always want to look for someone who is better than Curry, and as of right now, Stephen Curry is still the best point guard in the NBA. Here are three players: Player A, Player B, and Player C. Just at first glance, who would you guys think is having the best season? They're all undoubtedly great. Player A is incredibly impactful to his team and winning, whilst being the most efficient. Player B is also very impactful, but just slightly worse in most categories than the other two guys. And Player C fills up the box score the best, but also turns it over and is a bit less efficient. And as you might have guessed, despite the narratives, Stephen Curry is still having the best season of any of these three guys from a statistical standpoint. And the thing is, we all know Steph's impact goes way beyond the box score. He doesn't even need to touch the ball to wreak havoc on defenses. And here's a prime example of that. Draymond Green gets the ball just above the three-point line. JTA sets an off-ball screen to get Steph free with the hope of a switch onto Maxi Kleber, but instead, Dorian Finney-Smith and both Maxi Kleber are so focused on the greatest shooter of all time and what he is doing that they give up a wide open dunk. Oh, and in the exact same game, just a little bit later, Michael Mulder sets a screen for Steph coming off a curl, and again, both Mavs defenders are so locked in on what Steph is doing that Mulder slips straight into the open space and is found by Draymond. These aren't just slight openings being created, these are wide open layups and dunks that Stephen Curry is creating by himself, along with the assistance of Draymond Green as well quite often. With all this being said, I think we can all agree on one thing. Stephen Curry is not having the best season of his career. But is the problem Steph isn't as good as his competition? Or is the real problem we're comparing Steph to Steph? And that's stronger competition than anyone else currently. Entering the season, what if I were to tell you this? The Golden State Warriors would miss Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, and James Wiseman for a combined 137 games. They would go through numerous different starting lineups whilst giving some younger players like Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody the chance to develop. Despite this, they have the second best record in the NBA. They've consistently beat some of the best teams in the NBA, and Stephen Curry is averaging 26, 6.5, and 5 on 3 points above league average shooting efficiency, whilst probably playing the best defense of his career. And that's a bad season? I alluded to this before, but this isn't the first time people have tried to displace Steph from his place at the top. And well, last time they made it a conversation,
Draymond finds him another three. Got it! 62! 62!
But as I mentioned, we all know Steph's impact goes way beyond the box score, or even the advanced stats, because not only does he create open shots without even touching the ball, but who else is facing this level of defensive attention the second they touch the ball? Watch this play right here. Steph comes off a JTA screen, he has a defender trailing him. Naz Reid chooses to leave JTA to pressure Steph, so Steph puts the ball on the floor before drawing the third defender in D'Angelo Russell. But just watch this for impact. Instead of rotating out to the open Gary Payton, D'Lo stays with Steph and gives up a wide open three. His eyes never leave Stephen Curry, despite Gary Payton II being wide open for a three. That is what you call impact. And there's more examples. Here we have Steph receiving a loony screen, And as always, both the big and wing follow Steph around the screen to prevent the three. Often in this situation, you would see Draymond making the pass straight to Looney with that opened up space in behind, but Wiggins hands it off to Steph, who draws a third defender before dropping it off to Looney for an easy dunk. In general, Steph is constantly creating scoring opportunities, coming off screens, and finding the roller. Recently it's been Kevon Looney who's taken the job of being the short roller, but we've seen it done with Draymond Green, Juan Toscano-Anderson, numerous other players whose assist totals have benefited greatly from Steph's gravity. Now, Curry doesn't often get a lot of credit for these things from an assist standpoint, because as I mentioned, it's often someone like Draymond making the extra pass out of those Steph traps, but he is always creating offense. And that's why with Draymond out of the team, we've seen Steph's assist tally jump, and we've seen him show that he is still one of the best passers in the NBA, despite not having the biggest assist tally. The crazy thing is, just bringing it back to Steph and still being the best in the league, the only difference between the likes of Steph, Ja, and Luka right now is volume. Those guys have the ball in their hands more. But what if Steph were to have the ball in his hands more? Well, this is last season, for example. These are Steph's numbers pre-All-Star break versus post-All-Star break. As you can see, Curry is better with the ball in his hands more. But what has made him so good is because, as we've seen this season, if there's Andrew Wiggins, Jordan Poole, and Klay Thompson in the side, he can sacrifice those personal opportunities to get these other guys involved, whether it means creating space off the ball or creating space out of traps, he's going to do it. But as we saw last season, when there weren't as many shots to go to as many good players, well, Curry was able to put up ridiculous numbers with the ball in his hands at a consistent rate. And although the numbers won't reflect as well this season, he is still having that kind of an impact because of what he does off the ball and what he enables other players to do without having to control the ball so frequently. And that's why he's been able to be so successful on great teams like we've seen with Kevin Durant, and then also carry weaker teams like we saw last season. And there were a certain section of fans that laughed at the fact he didn't make the playoffs last season, that laughed at the fact he was only several games above 500 when he played for a team that had the likes of Kent Bazemore. Well, those section of fans might not be laughing anymore because it's not exactly easy to do what he did last season, and it's still not exactly easy to do what he's doing right now. Oh, and if you made it this far, you might as well drop a like. That would be much appreciated. Subscribe to the channel for more content. Thank you. Bye.